Here's a question for you. What do you get when you take a top-notch, talented group of voice actors and have them work alongside possibly the worst group of CGI animators imaginable? If you are not currently picturing Rapsittie Street Kids Believe in Santa, then I highly doubt whatever you were picturing could possibly compare. After having looked at some of the best modern horror movies during Halloween, I figured I'd switch it up a bit at Christmas and take a gander at one of the worst Christmas movies ever made. Now, don't get me wrong, there are other movies that could potentially claim that title, but I don't think any of them are quite as fascinatingly bizarre as Rapsittie Street Kids. This TV movie leaves a lot of unanswered questions, and I'm not talking about the plot or story, those are pretty mundane. I'm actually talking about the production. When asking what went wrong with Rapsittie Street Kids, it's fairly clear. The story is cliché and simplistic, the characters aren't very likeable, and the animation. Oh boy, we'll get to that. The real question here is more, how did this happen? Like I said, this movie, despite having animation so ugly it'd make Video Brinquedo blush, somehow had an all-star voice cast, including the voice actress behind Bart Simpson, the voice actresses behind Belle from Beauty and the Beast and Ariel from The Little Mermaid, and even Mark Hamill of all people, who, come to think about it, has already starred in a terrible holiday special before, but anyways, on top of that, this movie has become pretty infamous for having been aired on national television in the US, despite looking like a bad straight-to-DVD trash fire. So, with all that said, what is the movie even about? Well, it clearly takes place in some small, rather unimaginative American town in winter, and follows a kid named Ricky, whose character can be summarised as an annoying rapper. Ricky is poor and lives with his great-grandma, who seems to be, for want of a better phrase, glitching?
You just can't for an idiot.
Ricky has a crush on a girl named Nicole, whose only character trait is being a spoilt brat. In any other movie, she'd probably be the villain, but here she's the love interest. Ricky wants to impress her, and decides to give her a teddy bear that his late mother gave to him in the hopes that she'll appreciate the sentiment behind it, despite the fact that being a superficial brat is her entire personality. So of course she rejects him, and throws the bear away, then mocks others for believing in Santa. Ricky, still wanting to believe, decides to write a letter to Santa, mentioning the bear and what it meant to him, and Nicole comes across the letter. Reading it and realising what an absolute trash fire of a person she's been, Nicole and friends decide to try to dumpster dive in order to retrieve the bear. Giving it back to Ricky, he gives a cliched response that friendship is more important than memories or something like that. Even though Nicole has been anything but friendly to him and probably doesn't deserve a bear that, like I said, was a gift from his late mother, but okay, fine. Christmas comes, the kids decide to believe in Santa, and Nicole gives Ricky the present he asked for in his letter. And it ends on a very loving and festive note.
And a Merry Christmas to all!
Shut that door!
Yeah, it's a pretty simple story. It's mundane, cliché, and the characters, especially Nicole, are not particularly likeable. But, well, enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about the animation. Good lord, this has got to be some of the absolute worst CGI I've ever seen in my life. This movie was made in 2002, as in the same year as the first Ice Age movie and after such movies as Toy Story, Monsters Inc., Shrek, and more. It's not like CGI was an unknown tool at this point. Companies had figured out how to use it, and even most bad CGI of the time was better than this. The backgrounds look like they were drawn in MS Paint, the movements are atrocious, the character motions clearly don't connect to the backgrounds, and oh god, the character design. Now, the original concept art for the characters on paper does look okay. Not perfect, but definitely passable. When rendered into 3D CGI, however, it's bad. Very bad. The characters all look like the world's most terrifying sex dolls. Their eyes are completely vacant, and their faces look severely unfinished. The animation is more or less what has made this special so infamous, and, well, for good reason. If you're wondering how they managed to get away with all this, well, according to the daughter of a producer responsible for the funding, her father just flat out didn't check up on this movie until it actually aired on television. Though why the broadcasters were willing to air it is unclear, I'm gonna assume they didn't watch it either. She also claims that the grandmother character actually did have normal speaking lines, suggesting her weird audio actually is just glitched, which makes sense given she does have one perfectly normal sounding line towards the end. Okay, I can accept people just not caring about the awful animation, but how did nobody realise how badly the audio had glitched out? I'm sure many folks would immediately jump to the conclusion of this being made by a con artist of sorts, maybe someone who tricked a producer out of their money and spent as little as possible on the product while pocketing the rest. But again, these are some pretty high caliber voice actors who I'm certain cost, well, at least more than the animation did. All I can assume here is either the film's entire budget went into the music and voice acting, or maybe the animation team behind it were desperate to jump onto the ever-growing trend of CGI, while completely lacking any kind of decent software and having absolutely no prior experience in animating it. But yeah, this movie did actually air on television, and was promptly forgotten about to the point where it became a piece of legendary lost media, only to resurface in 2015 when it was discovered by founder of the Lost Media wiki, Dykate. Lost media has always been a strange yet fascinating topic in my opinion. So many pieces of lost media have a slight eerie edge to them, mostly due to how mysterious they tend to be, and Rapsittie Street Kids is certainly no exception. I swear, this movie reaches Cats levels of accidental nightmare fuel at times. The deranged animation combined with occasional creepy background music often makes this all seem like it fell out of a bad creepypasta. The question is this movie salvageable? Could it be put right if the CGI was fixed? Well, I don't know. While it's arguably too simplistic and cliché to be a downright good movie, sometimes I do wonder if maybe having decent animation would make enough of a difference. At the end of the day, when it comes to animated storytelling, the animation itself does play a huge role, perhaps a bigger role than many might think. Do I think it would be enough? Well, probably not. The conflict isn't really big enough nor interesting enough to make up a full special, and like I said, some of the characters like Nicole really need to be less obnoxious and more likeable. Like, maybe make Nicole not so much a spoiled brat, but just a smart, mature girl who thinks she's too old for Christmas, and have the search for Ricky's bear be more interesting than just searching through a junkyard. Maybe have them actually go on a Christmas journey to try to seek out Santa in order to take it back or something. I don't know. This whole movie can be found on YouTube, and given it hasn't been taken down after 5 years, I doubt anyone is going to try and copyright strike it. Even then, I still don't recommend you watch it. As I say, take away the horrifying animation, and it's just a wholly mediocre movie. If there's a lesson to be learned from this film, it's that if you're gonna sink $500,000 into an animated movie, maybe watch the final cut before airing it on TV, and if your animators are this incompetent when it comes to CGI, maybe consider 2D animation, or, well, if they can't even do that, then live action. But hey, what am I saying? We all know the true meaning behind this movie. That being...
Christmas!
Merry Christmas, everyone. go watch a better movie. Thanks for watching the video. I probably won't be uploading next week given it's the week of Christmas, so I guess this is my last video of the year. Yay, it was an experience. Well, anyways, I hope you all enjoy the holiday season. Like, share and subscribe and donate to me on Patreon if you can, and I hope to speak to you again next year. Goodbye.